Hello everyone, in this video we're going to edit this picture from the beginning to the end. As you can see, I've done just a few things in Camera Raw. I reduced the highlight and increased the shadows. Let me show you the before and after of that. Then when processing Raw, I always suggest you come to this place, you click on it and make sure the depth is on 16 bits per channel so that you can have the most information, and make sure your space is on Adobe RGB, and try to open in Photoshop as smart objects. I will tell you the reason why you should open in Photoshop as smart objects. Now, press OK, then open as objects. So the reason why you open your image in Photoshop as smart objects is so that you can always go back to Camera Raw. You can see when I double tap the smart object, it takes me back to Adobe Camera Raw, and I can easily go through some raw processing. I can maybe increase the contrast if I want to, or maybe increase the warmth or decrease the temperature also. I can add so many other things. Press OK once I'm done, so I can easily go back. So now we're in Photoshop. Let me press F. F gives me full screen, so you can always play around with it. So the first thing I do in Photoshop is to remove blemishes and also fix background. The first thing I do in Photoshop is to remove blemishes. So, and here's how I remove my blemishes. I use a technique called frequency separation. So frequency separation is a technique whereby you separate your image into two frequencies, one being the high frequency and the other being your low frequency. The high frequency contains the texture. You can see the texture. These are the textures, as you can see. The low frequency contains the color or tones of the image, the color. So I'm going to show you how to separate the two frequencies in this image, and also how to work on each frequency. So you start by creating a new layer, an new empty layer. Then after that, go to your image, apply image. Let me put it back to normal, then matched. Okay. Yeah, what this does is that it creates a snapshot of what's below. So it creates a snapshot of what's below. Then let me press Ctrl J to duplicate the layer. Let's name this low frequency, and this high frequency. So then let's group the let's do that. Low frequency and high frequency, right? So let's start working on the low frequency first. Since low frequency is color, so it means we're trying to subtract texture from the color. How do you subtract texture? One of the ways you can subtract texture is by blurring the picture. So we go to filter, blur, Gaussian blur. As you can see, I have a shortcut for it already, but for the sake of this tutorial, I'm not going to use shortcut. So let's zoom in. So I'm going to blur the texture, and that's almost like that same thing with you subtracting the texture. So you subtract or blur the texture, you pick a radius whereby you stop seeing texture on the face of the subject. As you can see, I think 20 is okay. Let me pick 18. As you can see, I've stopped seeing texture. 18. That means I've removed texture. Image minus texture is color. So we are left with just color. So since we are done with low frequency, let's go to high frequency. So image minus color will give you texture. So which means what we are trying to do is to subtract or remove the color so we can have just texture. So you go to apply image, and since this is a 16-bit picture, this is how you run frequency distribution on a 16-bit picture. So layer, low frequency, normal, where's add, so this on 2 and this on 0, and make sure you invert. So I'm trying to do the opposite of add, which is subtract. You're trying to subtract low frequency from your source, which is your image. You can see we're left with just color, but of course we cannot edit like this. So what you do is to change the blend mode from normal to linear light, and let's group the frequency separation and name it. All right, so we've separated the frequencies, and like I said earlier, I'm trying to remove blemishes. So one of the ways you can remove your blemishes is by using a clone stamp on texture, since the blemishes I'm seeing I want to remove are just texture. So I'm going to use a clone stamp tool and make sure my layer is on current layer. I want to work on my current layer with the texture, and make sure the flow is on 100. You can increase the flow, like you can also increase the flow by clicking on shift 0. That's one of the shortcuts. So the next thing you do is to just remove the blemishes with my clone stamp tool. Anything that can be removed, any texture that can be removed with, or anything that looks like texture that can't be removed, make sure your hardness is on 0 with your clone stamp tool. Is most likely a color problem, not a texture problem. So you just zoom in. This is what we call small scale retouching, because at the end of the day, after editing and removing all the blemishes, once you are zoomed out, you hardly see any work being done. You hardly see the effects. But when you are zoomed in, you see like, okay, you've actually done a lot of work. I want to believe this strand of hair is a texture. So let's try and remove that. You can see. Okay, so you can also use your spot healing brush tool. I think that should have been the best tool to use for this. And also, don't make the mistake of clicking on sample all layers. Make sure this is unchecked. Sample all layer. Don't sample all layers. Work on just the eye texture. So I'm going to like fast this. I'm going to make this very fast. Alright, so as you can see, we've removed quite a lot of blemishes before after, before, after. You can hardly see the changes except you like really zoom in. That's why it's called small scale retouching. So I've worked on just the texture layer. Okay, let me work on the lips here. Okay, so we'll continue later. You can create as many frequency separation layers as possible. So let's move to our low frequency. Here's how you work on low frequency. So let's create a new layer in between. So anything below the high frequency is a low frequency. And so let's put this off. Okay, which is on 30.